Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Get Dirty Garage. Today we're going to tackle the second part of trying to get that dash to fit and all that fun stuff. Try and get those spaces, big gaps filled where we cut out where the vents were, and if we got time we'll even try and get a steering column and everything in there to make sure that it's going to connect to the car. And get on at least starting to make it look pretty, because it's kind of a mess at this point. But anyways, we got a ton of work to do, so let's go ahead and let's get dirty.
Is this thing on? Yeah. Alright, so if you remember from the last time, we got all the mounting and stuff figured out for the dash itself, and got the crossbar in, kind of glued the that front little clippy, on there, and got it mounted back up in here. And next step really, I think, is trying to finish off where these vents came out. If you remember, we were kind of in here, and the bottom of this kicks out quite a bit, so couldn't get the doors closed. So I kind of went ahead and played a little bit with where things have got to go and made a mark around kind of what we got to trim up still. So I think we'll just jump right into it and get some trimming done and see if we can't tuck this a little bit further inboard, and that way we can kind of mock it up and see if we can get the doors closed and fun stuff like that. So let's hack some more stuff off. Okay, well, I think that's probably getting us a little pretty close anyways. Probably get a little bit more trimming and stuff to do, but I'm gonna get this stuff out of the way, get you guys in here, and we'll close the door and see how it fits to the door, and then kind of adjust from there. So we'll pick it up at that point. Okay, well, here's where we're at from the door fitment side. Much better. And I think we can kind of figure out a way to support the back of that, and get that glued in place, and then finish that with fiberglass and so on. But that'll get us a little bit of an overlap there on the vents, what it's supposed to be like. And at that point we'll do some mock-ups and see if we can't get that smoothed out. So gaining ground. Okay, so I got just some tape holding it in place. Played with the other side, got that also kind of played in place, but when we get the doors closed, I think that meets up pretty nice. We tuck it in just a little bit more, but this gap down here is good. This is supposed to just overlap that door panel a little bit, so I think that's good. This gap should work out okay. So I think from that point, let's figure out how we can attach those three pieces together on both sides and see if we can't get this started to take shape. So we'll go from there. Okay, well, pulled this out of the car and replaced the template tape with some heavy-duty Gorilla tape, because Gorilla tape holds everything. So anyways, I got kind of both sides in place, and I think where everything needs to be and taped up. And now the next dilemma is actually the vents themselves, since this is moved inboard. The vents actually have a little black mounting piece that I pried off prior to making any modifications, because I didn't want to cut through that. But as you can imagine, it doesn't quite fit in there now with how we've moved that vent inboard. So it's got some interference issues down there. So I'm gonna do some trimming on this, see if I can get this to sit down in there, and then that will give me a good surface to bond back to this and be able to kind of clean all that up and get the vents mounted in there again. So do a little bit of grinding and fitting and see what we can come up with on this. So that's the next step. Okay, so I got this sufficiently butchered enough, I think, to actually fit down in there and give a little bit of backing to that spot where we cut out. Also went ahead and just formed up a little bit of metal to kind of get behind that portion of it. So I think I can screw that in place. So I think at this point, got it roughed up. I'm gonna go ahead and use the Gorilla tape as kind of a dam, if you will, and kind of fill that gap, and throw a bunch of this adhesive stuff in there, and see if I can figure out how to clamp all this mess together, and then just wish and hope, I guess. I don't know. See if we can get these pieces back to being one piece of Dash again. Hopefully that gets enough in that spot. We'll see if we can figure out how to clamp this in there. It only goes in one way. It's got a little notch on it, so alright. Let's see if we can get a few areas of contact here. See if we can actually avoid gluing all the clamps to this thing. Okay, I think actually that probably will hold it in place, I think. All right, now for this magic piece. I did put a couple of screws through this just as kind of a hold it in place type thing, so reuse those holes. And then once this solidifies, and pull all this stuff back out, and then see if we can get the Gorilla Tape off. Should be an interesting question, but I think at that point everything should be solid and kind of be back in the right direction. So we will let this sit up. It's going to take quite a few hours to do so. I'll get the other side in, and we'll check back in at that point. Alright, well, while we're waiting for the dash to dry up a little bit, let's go ahead and throw the steering column in here real quick, and then we can kind of see where we've got to play with brake pedal, because if you remember, if you go on the Wayback Machine and pull the brake pedal out, it attaches to the old steering column bracket, so you got to have some sort of attachment up here so when you stomp on the brakes you don't pull it through the firewall. So but let's see if we can get this kind of fed through here quickly and see what we're up against, I guess. That's not very coordinated. And the Camaro column mounts to this crossbar where the old Elco used to mount to. It's got the Camaro column's got 4 bolts in it, so it's held solid to this cross member here. And the Elco column had 2 kind of coming off the dash, and it had an attachment. Yeah, that stinks. Has an attachment down at the firewall. So no attachment on the firewall for this one. So I'll see if we can. Get something started here. Using this cross member out of the Camaro should give us a good solid mount. No worries. Okay. go longer. That should work well. Got a little tilt action. So I'm gonna grab this brake pedal bracket and see what kind of mess we got ourselves into here. This part's going to go right through the firewall. It's got holes up there and all that fun stuff. And then this part is what used to bolt to the steering column. So what we got to do is really kind of find out what we can and can't use, what interferes with what. And the answer is that everything interferes with everything. So, I'm gonna do some serious hacking and chopping, and probably, that's a great pen. Probably get this thing back into here, and we'll see if we can get this to use maybe just one forward bolt hole on one of the brackets or the bolts that hold in the steering column. So probably have to make that, but at this point I think I just want to keep the geometry of the brakes, the brake switch and all that fun stuff, and don't mess with what stops you, I guess. We can just mess with what steers, I guess, with you. So, but yeah, I think from there we'll do some hacking on this bracket and see what happens from there. Okay, so we got the brake pedal bracket sufficiently sliced up, mounted to the firewall, and chopped up and clearing everything. And instead of going to these bottom holes down here where the steering column mounts, the Camaro brake pedal bracket actually mounted to these two holes. So I'm thinking that I can take this chunk of bracket that I chopped off and kind of make a bracket, weld those two together, and be able to bolt it right to where the Camaro came off of. So do some chopping and hacking and see what comes out of that, I guess. So we'll give that a try. All right, so here's what I ended up doing. I actually just cut a piece of angle iron to bolt to that IP crossbar, drilled a couple of holes, and I used that scavenge piece to kind of go in between the bracket that I had chopped off in the car and up to this. So I had them both bolted in the car and zapped them together, and then came over to the vise and finished them off. Boxed in the backside, so should have plenty of strength. But let's throw a coat of paint on this, and then we will pitch it in the car and see what comes up. All right, so here's our finished brake pedal bracket. So this part is going to run through the firewall, and this is going to attach up to the IP cross brace that we kind of modified up in there. So I think it should be fine. I mean, that's just plenty strong. It's just a matter of trying to keep it from tilting down when you smash on the brakes. So let's go ahead and get this plugged in, and then gotta start working on the steering. You know, stopping is nice, but steering's pretty important too. So we'll toss this one in there and we'll go from there. By the way, you know, I've been working on some jokes about some third-rate boxers, but they all got such weak punchlines. All right, let's get some work done. These couple of bolts on the top here, and then through the firewall, that's where the brake booster mounts to. So we'll just tighten those up to the firewall at this point, since we got no booster. All right, so that'll get us the inside. We'll get the outside and go from there. Okay, so hopefully you can kind of see the attachment points up here, and then as it's attached into firewall. So I think everything actually worked out pretty good, and we should be good to go on the brakes. So brake pedal installed. Okay, now that we got the brake bracket stuff figured out and we'll be able to stop, that's a good thing. Now I just want to be able to steer, you know, kind of important. But anyways, I just threw the old intermediate shaft in there. It's got a kind of a rag joint down on the bottom down there, and so it's got some wiggle there. And then the shaft from the Camaro, it's got a U-joint on the inside, so it kind of flops around, and a U-joint here. It'll go on a double D shaft, which that's what this is. So I'm thinking, you know, it always gets me in trouble, but if I cut this off someplace where I can attach this, it's got quite a bit of travel to it, so it should be good. And be able to actually slide this end here. I should be able to connect that up pretty easy. The thing I'm worried about though is that if I got a U-joint on this end and a U-joint up inside, it's going to be a little floppy, wobbly, wiggly thing. But we'll give it a try and see what happens. So we'll try that. Okay, so we'll figure out where we want to kind of slice this thing off. I'm thinking about right there-ish. And yeah. So I don't want to cut too much of this intermediate shaft off, but it's got plenty of play, I think. Yeah, we should have plenty of guesstimation in there. So we'll get out the sparkly wheel of terror and see if I can do this without slicing into the headers and important stuff like that. And see how straight we can make it. Okay, don't think I cut off anything important, so let me clean that up with a grinder just a touch and see if we can't slide those two together. It's pretty close, but I think one is millimetric and one is not. So, but as I was afraid of, I think that's going to allow that to flop around way too much. So, well, let's see if we can't get that fitted in to that shaft. Do some more grinding on the shaft and see if we can get that to fit in there. And then I think what I can do is actually take this end off of this U-joint, slice it off, slice this off, and then weld that end where this end is welded on, and be able to connect the two thusly. So let's see what we can do with that. Go from there. Okay, so I've got this sufficiently ground down to fit the millimetric D, so that slides together no problem. But as I thought, that's with two U-joints in there, that's going to cause a serious flop. So on to plan B. What I'm going to do is to slice the shaft off up here. Slice this end of that joint off, kind of there and there, and then weld that remaining piece to the shaft, and that way should be able to have kind of a solid connection between the two, and be able to actually not have it floppage. So that should go, you know, something like that. So all right, we will attempt that surgery at this point. So get out the sparkly wheel of terror again. Okay, well, I got this portion of that chopped off. Still a little warm, but that can now slide on there. This will extend to there, and then we can basically weld those two together. And the last part that I need to be able to put this piece on is to slice a little space in there for the bolt to go through, just a little groove. So we'll see if we can't get that machined in there. allow that bolt to go through. Keep that from kind of an interlock, if you will. Now, let's clean the rest of this shaft up real quick. So I think if I get that lined up fairly straight, put the welder on boil, and maybe tack those two together real quick. It's going to be warm. So they look straight. It gets close. Put a zap in here. Nothing, a little bit of hammering and the vise won't fix, so I think we are in pretty good shape. Steering will be connected and unconnectable, so we will pick it up from that point. Good thing to stop and steer. Okay, so I got this welded up and finished off and kind of straightened out, so it's pretty even as it turns, doesn't wobble much, and we should be good to go. So got it attached at top and bottom, and now we just got to kind of figure out this through hole thing. So I guess some sheet metal modification is next. Alright, in the Camaro, this just kind of snapped through an egg-shaped hole. Obviously the hole is not the same size. So I think what I'm going to do is, I got this marked out kind of in a pattern around where I think this sheet metal is flat. And let's go ahead and pull the steering shaft out and then cut this out. And then I can cut out of a flat piece to fit in that opening, and then I can make a template from the Camaro for like the egg there, and then should be able to just weld that in place and then snap the seal thingy, what you call it, into it. So that's the plan. So I'm going to go ahead and yank this steering column out, and then we'll get to chopping on that piece and see if we can't get a hole opened up. So we'll go from there. Alright, so I just laid some template tape over the hole in the firewall in the Camaro and made that egg size, and I'm guessing on the rest of this, basically what I think I'll do to make sure that there's no stress and so on in there is I'll get this inside hole cut to size, see if I can get it snapped onto the flubber piece, and then that will help me locate this, and then I can trace it out from the inside out and make the rest of this fit. So let's see if we can cut this center hole out here. I'm gonna clean up this hole, and then we'll go snap that on and see if we can't get a trace around the back to understand how big to make this piece. So we'll go from there. Okay, well, after getting this kind of cleaned up and shaped and cut out twice and, you know, remade 3 times, I got a patch that kind of I think will work in here, and this will kind of go up through there and attach. And I know there's like 3 or 4 of you anyway that are going, well, why didn't you just weld these shafts together here? Well, the size of this hole is kind of that reason. The rag joint is a little bit too big to fit through there, so it's yeah. Anyway, so I think at this point we can kind of get this in here and hopefully get a spot where this smooths out that section of that firewall. And we can use that seal. I have to do a little bit of tacking and pushing, I think, to get that in the right spot. Since I'm not the best at making patches, so. But get it close enough for who it's for. Stay. Okay. Put one tack in it here. All right, let's get this in place permanently, and then we can do some grinding and finishing, so should be fun. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the steering column out and then do a grind on the rest of this, chase a bunch of pinholes around, and then we will throw a quick coat of primer or something on that, and we'll see how everything fits after that point. So we'll pick it up from there. All right, well, I got this all in and a little bit of primer on there. The seal snaps through that hole good, so I got everything hooked up and painted up the shafts and so on. So I think now that we got the very, very basics of turning and stopping kind of figured out, I guess we can turn our attention back to the IP and see if we can't make that a little bit pretty. So we'll go from there. All right, so this should be set up really well, I would hope. So let's pull this apart and see what the creation looks like here. Got some glue on the screws. Take off my Gorilla Tape dam here. Yeah, for the most part it worked. That stuff is sticky. Okay, well, I think that just got a bunch of residue on it from the tape and so on, but I think we can sand that and be in pretty good shape. So I think we'll try and stick this in the car and see how everything fits, and then get to working on finishing. So hopefully it still fits where I think it's going to fit. So we'll find out. Okay, well, here is the passenger side. So it seems to be pretty much in line. Got a little bit of to do, but everything looks good there. So let's check on the driver's side real quick. Alright, so yeah, I think that gap is quite livable. So we should be in pretty good shape, I think. So time to do some fiberglassing and sanding. Well, you know what? We got to figure out that glove box door, so I think that'll be next. Okay, to get us started on this glove box door, basically it's just this side that we've got to make a little bit shorter to match kind of the contour of where it's going in the Elco. So pulled 4 screws out of this thing, just Phillips heads, and I think this cover, the outside part of this, will come off, and that way we can kind of get the fit going before we get to the point of having to pull both of those. I want to pull both of them apart, so got to wrap the outside of that anyways. But there we go. Latch is out of there. This way we can cut the inside and the outside individually. Should be able to make it more accurate that way. Okay. All right, so inside of that, we'll fit this one up into the car, kind of mark off where we want to chop it off, and with this cover piece off, should be able to trim that up and be able to wrap that, separately, so it looks, like it's supposed to. So let's go stuff this in the car and see how far off we are. Okay, so we'll plop this part in. And basically just gonna have to make a line on where to cut stuff off. So inside's not as critical as the outside. But I think if we chop her off about there, we should be pretty good. That way this will follow that line that we've re-sculpted. Really haven't messed with any of the opening size, which is good. Okay, we'll chop that off about there and see what we come up with. Alright, so got this side hacked off, and let's give that a swing in there. So I think that should be somewhat fitting. So let's go ahead and throw this cover back on real quick. Just kind of snap it in place, I guess. Because the cover is the one that has the latches in it. Okay, well, this side doesn't latch, so we'll figure that out, but should be able to get a cutoff point. Yeah, I think that should be pretty close. Give us a starting point there, and this end kind of wraps up and finishes that off. So I don't know if we'll cut that off and try and glue those two pieces together or what, but we'll figure out this latch on this side as well, and that way we can get kind of a fit started here. So we'll cut this end off and go from there. Okay, so we got the glove box in there, latch, and that side trimmed up. So let's go ahead and close the door and see how things fit at that point. So I think actually pretty decent all the way up, and it's a good close out there. So I think at this point should be able to start making some fiberglass dust and getting some things cleaned up and smoothing out kind of all the rough areas that we've created, but as far as the fit goes, I'm pretty happy with the way it's fitting in the car. Good solid mounting, so shouldn't rattle or any crazy stuff like that. So I think we'll pull this out again and start doing some filling and sanding and fun stuff like that. So we'll go from there. All right, well, after a couple hours of sanding and filling and so on, got everything kind of smoothed out. Did go ahead and fill in those side vents as well, since won't have those, but front of that's looking pretty good, and I think she's kind of all dolled up and ready for her party dress. But so I think being able to wrap it next, and but still got a whole bunch of details, so maybe I'll probably wrap that last. And while I'm wrapping, I think I gotta rewrap these or this door. Got a bunch of puckers in it that are bothering me, so yeah, get to do that again. But anyways, also went ahead and made a couple little brackets on the side here to hold this portion nice and tight, one on each side. So got those in, but I think at this point that's a pretty good stopping point. Bunch of work that we got done and starting to take shape. Now we'll work on a whole bunch of details and fun stuff like that. So anyways, she's in nice and solid, brackets everywhere, and fitting pretty good. So I think we've got to just now clean up the details and go from there. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for this edition of Let's Get Dirty Garage. I know that, there's tons more to do still on that dash, but we've got it fitting on all sides, front and back and forward, and glove box, and got steering column in and brake pedal and so on. So we got the basics, and I think we got a lot of work to do to make it pretty, and then we got tons of details to do. Things like light switch mounting and wiper switch mounting and all that fun stuff. So got a lot to figure out there, plus making it pretty and wrapping it and all that fun stuff. So we'll pick that up next time. Hey, if you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell that gives you the little notifications. It's free, it's all good, but appreciate you guys so much. And listen, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think so far. We've got a long way into it, but still ways to go, and we'll get some of the details wrapped up next time. So, hey, appreciate you watching. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.